Dear soul, you didn't imagine the connection. You didn't misread the signs. You weren't wrong to believe in what you felt. What happened wasn't just confusion. It wasn't just timing. And it wasn't your fault. They left. But they didn't. And now I am here, because the truth is ready to come to light. Not the version others gave you. Not the silence that tried to fill in the blanks, but the real story. The one that your soul always knew beneath the ache. They didn't walk away because you didn't matter. They didn't disappear because they stopped feeling something. They didn't stay away because they were at peace. They were forced by pain they never told you about, by pressure they never wanted you to see, by circumstances that made staying feel like drowning. Yes, they still loved you, even as they left, even as they turned their back and walked the other way. But not everything they carried was visible, and not every decision they made was their own. There were hands pulling them away from you, voices behind closed doors, unhealed wounds that screamed louder than love itself, and fears they were too ashamed to speak. So they ran, not because they wanted to, but because they thought it would hurt you less if they vanished. They believed they were doing you a favor. They believed they would only break you more by staying. They believed you were too good to be dragged into their shadows. And so they disappeared into them, alone, but not without regret, not without looking back, not without hearing your name echo in every room they entered afterward. Because love doesn't die just because someone leaves, and connection doesn't break just because someone goes silent. They still feel you, in the middle of the night, in the quiet between conversations, in the spaces where their mask begins to fall. And though they may look fine to others, inside, there's a space only you ever reached. And that space is still aching, still searching, still remembering. They left, but their soul stayed beside you. And this is what you never saw. They broke too. You weren't the only one lying awake, asking what went wrong. You weren't the only one staring at the ceiling, replaying the goodbye. You weren't the only one wishing you had the answers. They were doing it too, every night, in silence, in shame, in sorrow. They wanted to come back so many times. But every time they reached for their phone, fear grabbed their hand. Every time they thought of telling you the truth, guilt closed their throat. They were afraid you wouldn't forgive them, afraid you had moved on, afraid that even if you still loved them, you'd never trust them again. But the truth is, they never stopped loving you. And the shocking part? They still believe you're the only one who ever really saw them. Not just the version they showed the world. Not just the one that smiled on the surface, but the real them, the broken them. The confused, unsure, scared, and longing version of them. You loved them there, in that place, in their most vulnerable state. And that terrified them, because no one had ever held their soul so gently. And they didn't know how to handle that kind of love. They were taught love had to be earned. They were told love had to be chased. They were convinced they weren't worthy of the kind you gave. So they left before they could break it, before they could ruin it, before they could disappoint you. But now the truth is rising, and it can't be buried any longer, because you need closure. And more than that, you deserve the truth. So I will keep speaking. And I will tell you everything they couldn't, everything they were too afraid to say, everything they buried deep down and tried to forget. You will know by the end of this message that your heart wasn't wrong, that your soul wasn't delusional, that your love wasn't wasted. They were forced to leave. But it wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a long journey back to the truth. And now, they are waking up to what they lost, to who they were, to what they're still holding on to. They are remembering you. Not the surface version, but the soul you are. The soul that met them without judgment. The soul that didn't flinch when they showed their scars. And that memory? It's calling them home. And while they've been silent, and while you've been healing, something divine has been unfolding. There has been a shift. One you cannot see, but you can feel it in your bones. Something is drawing them closer, even if they don't understand why. Because truth always finds a way. And love always circles back when it is real, when it is pure, when it is unfinished. You've been carrying their absence like a wound. But what if I told you that you were also carrying their love? What if I told you that every time you missed them, they were missing you too? That every time you tried to move on but couldn't, it's because their soul was still holding your hand in a realm beyond sight. They left, but they never let go. And now, a door is opening. A door that once was sealed by fear, by pride, by misunderstanding. You don't have to chase them. You never had to. Because the story was never over. It was just paused, waiting for both of you to grow into who you were meant to be. And now, as they awaken to the truth, and as you remember your worth, a new path is forming between you. Not one that repeats the old pain, but one that honors the truth at last. So breathe, dear soul. The next chapter is not one of confusion. It is one of clarity. The full truth is coming to light. And when it does, it will feel like the sunrise after the longest, coldest night. Stay open. Stay grounded. And most of all, stay ready, because what is yours by divine truth can never be taken by fear forever. Love is returning. And this time, it won't have to hide. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. And this story is not done. Not yet. I am with you. And the truth is here.